My life update. It's been years, literally years since I've done one of these big life update videos. And I thought today, let's go ahead and let's knock this baby out for the first time in many years. We're going to speak about everything I got going on, passions I have for my life. We'll talk about what I got going on with my house. We'll talk cars in this video. We'll talk about my weight. We're going to talk about my kids, marriage, what I'm really passionate about. We'll talk stocks in this video. We'll talk about how my relationship is with other big finance YouTubers. We're going to talk about a lot in this video, and I thought I'd just talk about it all in one video and kind of get it out of the way. Appreciate y'all joining me. Hope you enjoyed today's video. All I ask in return, hit that like button. And that's it. If you want to be subscribed here, you can subscribe. It's free. If you don't want to be subscribed, then, why the heck are you watching this video, okay? Alrighty, guys, so let's get into this little life update. I shouldn't call it a little life update. This is a big life update, okay? So a lot going on. So first off, my house, doing a lot of things around my house right now. So we just had all our closets done and had the lighting done all top. So you might say, why do I care about like doing these things in relation to my house? And a lot of it comes down to, one, there's financial gain there, right? If you take your house up 2 other levels, when you live in a nice house already, obviously whenever you go to sell it or rent it, you can get a lot more money from it, right? But the other kind of additional thing is I just really enjoy the creative process of trying to figure out like how spaces work, how you can improve those spaces and whatnot. And I just really get into all that stuff, right? It goes back to even like my Wynn Resorts investments, and like I so appreciate the Wynn properties is just such a tier above anything else that really exists on the Las Vegas Strip in terms of how perfect those properties are, the design of them, every element of those properties thought through, right? And I just really appreciate that. And so I can never do something on that scale, right? But I can do certain things, to our own scale. So, just little stuff like my wife wanted to paint this wall. So we had this wall painted here. Add these kind of like frames around the mirrors. We have all the under lighting underneath the bathroom floors there, right? Stuff like that, just from a different angle, and just trying to take things to a little higher level. We had this entire wall tiled here. This was 4x8, 4x8 kind of panels. It was unbelievable. 4 guys had to come and do it. All these things were incredibly heavy, like ridiculously heavy, and stuck all those to the wall to make kind of a nice, almost like an art piece type vibes in relation to the room, and kind of took it out, because before it was just all this same color just painted all the way through. And so this is just kind of an element to kind of add like a nice design there. If you wonder how much something like that is, that was a little between the product cost and what it cost, the guys to actually install it, it was a little over $20,000. So definitely not something that's cheap, right? And you'll never get a return on investment from that for like an average house, obviously, right? But if you're talking about a house that's several $1,000,000, it can completely kind of change the vibe of a house like that, because you walk in and you're like, whoa, that's something there, right? Just change this little area here. This was a sitting area before, hardly ever used it. And so I just kind of changed it into another backdrop here. Just something to do there. And we painted these walls blue there. Right here in the courtyard, we're going to be putting in a waterfall, nice waterfall, 3 tiers, all lit up too, so it's going to look real pretty at night. So you'll be able to see it from the door here and this, and we're putting in a glass door as well. And so it's to kind of give that vibe when you come in through the courtyard of like, whoa, like this is a nice property. You see the waterfall flowing, then you come in through the glass door, you enter into the house, you're like, oh, this is quite a place. And then in the backyard, basically next month, I believe they're supposed to start, we're having a pool and spa put in with another nice huge waterfall wall as well, with 3 tiers. So it's going to kind of vibe with the front of the property. So you go from the time you step in through the courtyard to coming into the actual house and the property to the time you get to the backyard, it all kind of flows together, and it just should feel very, very nice, right? And so that's something I've been really, really passionate about. Oh, I also started a garden. I got a garden on the side of the house as well, family garden. So we're growing some vegetables and stuff over there. So that's a lot of fun. But just, stuff like that I really enjoy. I really enjoy like anything where you try to take things up to another level than people are used to. And that's just something like I really appreciate. Like that's, everybody's got their own things out there. That's just, some people are like car people and they love to, like fix up a car really nice and like try to make that car as perfect as possible. Me, I love interiors and exteriors of properties, and I'm the type of person that I could just go and walk around and look at model homes and get ideas, and just love to walk around beautiful resorts that, you know, the architects spent incredible amounts of time in thinking about all the details. It's just stuff I absolutely eat up. And so I appreciate all that, right? You know, it's appreciating the beauty in kind of man-made stuff as well as nature. As far as my cars go, still drive the yellow X, and I still drive the green Plaid. I have considered maybe next year getting those wraps taken off and just kind of going back to traditional colors, because there's a decent probability I might get rid of those in the next year or two. The Cybertruck, I'll likely be getting the Cybertruck next year. I don't really want to get the Cybertruck this year, although it is cool to get it this year because you kind of get it before everybody else has it, right? But I want them to work out the kinks in regards to that, right? They're still working through different issues here and there, still fixing up stuff. So I'm in no rush to get the Cybertruck. Next year I'll get it, and that'll be perfectly fine. But, you know, at that point in time, then we have 3 cars, kind of a waste. So probably sell one of those 2. And so, yeah, I don't know which one get rid of yet, but probably get rid of one of those 2. So, yeah, that's kind of my 2 cents in regards to that, right? As far as my weight goes and my health goes, so almost no complaints, but I do have one complaint, and it's my weight. Back over 200 pounds. I do not like to go above 200 pounds. Ideally, I like to kind of stay in the 185 to 195 range. So I'm disappointed in myself that I'm back over 200. And it's not like I haven't been working out, because I have. So I'm not sure what's going on. And it's not like I feel... You know, it's not like I feel chubby or anything like that. It's just like, I don't know, like maybe it's muscle gain as well, because I've been working out a lot, and especially a lot of leg related stuff. So I don't know, maybe I'm letting my weight get me too affected, but you know, I just don't like the feeling of being over 200 pounds. So at the peak, my most unhealthy point of my life was when I was around 26 years old. And I was up to about 230 pounds. And I look back at those photos, and I'm ashamed of kind of where I was letting myself go at that particular time. I look back at some of those photos, and I'm like, dang, man, I look at my face back then. I look at my body back then. And you know, I was 6 years old or whatever at that time, 25, 26 years old. And I was just, you know. But anyways, you know, that is what it is. We'll see if we can get that under control. What about kids, wife, marriage, all those sorts of things? No complaints. You know, I got 3 boys, if you didn't know that already, and it's always a lot, right? There's always a lot going on. Boys have so much energy. Oh my gosh. I mean, so much energy. It's incredible. And it's like they feed off of each other's energy. And so it's just, you got to be ready to rock and roll every day pretty much when you got three kids that are all under the age of 10, and they're all boys. I mean, it's whew. My wife keeps them busy in a lot of activities. They are homeschooled, if you're wondering. They are homeschooled. And I mean, we've kind of thought the education they could get from my wife homeschooling them is just a little better than maybe the public education system can give them, right? And you know, private schools are, you know, incredibly expensive here in Vegas. You know, some of the private schools around us will charge $20,000 to $25,000 a year per kid. So, you know, all of a sudden you got 2 kids in school, okay, you're $50,000 deep, right? You got 3 kids in school, $75,000 you're looking at, right? And so, you know, we just kind of like weighed the benefits, the pros and the cons in regards to the situation. And so far we've seen really good results from them with the homeschooling. So, and then they do because usually the worry is, okay, maybe your education will be good from homeschooling, but what about your social abilities, right? And so that's why my wife keeps them busy with a lot of different social activities and you know, whether it be sports or non-sports related things or different clubs and things like that. That way the kids are always interacting with other kids, and so there's no social problems there, you know, because that's the one worry about if you're going to homeschool your kids, right? And at the end of the day, I would highly recommend it to anybody if they're in the financial position to do that, right? And also you have somebody that's willing to do it that would do a good job, right? That's the other factor. I mean, if you're not you don't feel like you're competent enough to teach your kids, or if you're in a situation where you just don't really want to do it, then 100% just go with public school, or you're not in the financial situation. Public schools, obviously I went through public school. There's plenty of people out there that have done just fine for themselves, that have gone through the public school system. It's just, we know it's not ideal, right, in many of those situations. So that's kind of what's going on there. It's definitely, kids are always the best, in my opinion, like the best part of life, right? Money's cool, success is cool, all those things are cool, but man, there's nothing like your kids, right? And just like, and then if they go away for a bit, you kind of feel down. You're like, dang, man, there's not as much exciting things. It's a lot of work, as with all things in life. As with all things in life that are good things, they all come with a lot of work, right? They always do. You want to make a lot of money, it's a lot of work. You want to do this, you want to do that, it's always a lot of work. And so, just some factors to kind of keep in mind there. You got to always be disciplined and staying on top of them and all those sorts of things, right? 1000X, this is a project. Let me first talk about Hungry Bowl before we even talk about 1000X. So Hungry Bowl, that was an app we had a few years ago, and it was a disappointment, right? Never got to build it out to enough scale. Costs ran out of control. I mean, I spent over $750,000 on that, right? And in 2022, had to shut that baby down. And so I learned a lot from that project, though. You're not going to spend $750,000 on something and not learn a lot. And sometimes the more you spend at something in life, sometimes the more you get out of that. And I can definitely say, in regards to that situation, that was incredibly valuable. I learned a lot about a lot. From developers to how these projects work, to how to run successfully a project, to P&Ls, and really trying to keep an eye on cost in regards to it, to not let things get too overboard. You got to really watch all that. So in regards to 1000X, there's a concept I'd had for quite a while that I wanted to really execute on. And the thing with Hungry Bowl is, Hungry Bowl, it's not my specialty. Like Hungry Bowl, the concept was everybody that's a stock market investor is all going to use a Hungry Bowl, and who cares about money and finance and even crypto, they're all going to use Hungry Bowl, right, to track their cryptos and stocks and keep up with all the news and things like that. And it was a cool mission, but that's not really what I do. That's not really my focus. Like, I'm more of a niche type guy, where I really focus in on a niche, and then we're going to be really successful in this thing. So for instance, a product that I'm not as much of a Robinhood guy as I am in terms of appreciating Bloomberg and what they built with Bloomberg, and that's a $25,000 a year product there. And so if I'm thinking about where I need to go, it's Bloomberg. It's not Robinhood. I'm not going to build the next Facebook. I'm not going to build the next Instagram. That's not me. I'm going to create things that are very successful in kind of niche categories, and that will be that. And I have no problem doing that, right? And so the thought with 1000X is, this is not for all stock market investors. This is not for even stock market traders. This is for strictly long-term focused investors in building out a service and a product that all long-term investors actually use, right? And so that was the thought process behind it, and it's been a tremendous success here early on. I can tell you it's already, way bigger success than anything we had with Hungry Bowl, right? And, every day I just kind of think about how can we make this product better? How can we make this product better? What can we do next? What can we do next? And whenever I'm going to think about these ideas, it's not like when it was Hungry Bowl. Hungry Bowl, I was thinking about what would people like. 1000X, I think about what would I like. That's a whole different mentality. It's a whole different mindset. I'm thinking about, what do I want to use on a daily basis? How do I want things laid out? What do I want? What do I not want? I don't really care what other people might want. I care about what I want. And it's a whole different mentality, and this mentality is going to end up working huge, and it's already working huge, right? And so even we made all these changes here today, we're going to likely make this change in the compare tab as well, in terms of exactly how I like things laid out: trailing 12-month P, then the forward P, then the 2-year P, so you can easily just kind of sift through it. Okay, where are we at here? Are things going to get better, likely, worse, likely, right? Then I go through trailing 12-month earnings per share growth, current year expected earnings per share growth, next year expected earnings per share growth, right? Then the rev growth, then gross margin, net margin, trailing 12-month price sales ratio forward, and then we got all these advanced metrics like 2-year stack, expected EPS growth, 2-year stack, expected revenue growth, right? And it goes on and on and on. So I'm so passionate about this project because it's building something that I actually care about. It's building something I want. It's a whole different mentality than Hungry Bowl. Hungry Bull, the initial idea from the go was let's build something that has a ton of users, and then someday we can monetize that, or sell it to another company or something like that. That's not how you build a great product. To build a truly great product, you got to be thinking about what would I want on a day in, day out basis, right? And then hopefully there's people out there that might want that product just as much as you, right? And you can even go back and watch old clips of Steve Jobs explaining a lot of this and talking about, people don't really know what they want. You've got to build things that lets them know what they want, right? And if you actually go through, like, people didn't really know they wanted Facebook. People didn't really know they wanted Instagram. People didn't really know they wanted an iPhone or an iPad, right? Or these H100 NVIDIA chips. Like, people didn't know they wanted these sorts of things, and companies didn't know. But you release them, you see the reaction, and people are like, oh, this is pretty sick what they've built here. I do want this, right? And so, yeah, it's a total different mentality in kind of, what I'm creating with that project and what was created with. In long term, if only a few thousand people in the world use 1000X, that's fine with me. Literally, if 3,000 people in the world use 1000X, that's fine with me. I have no objection to that. Sweet. That's cool. I will be one of those 3,000 that's using it on a daily basis and helping me get results, right? And so that's it's a very different mentality. It goes even back to my YouTube channel. When I started my YouTube channel, right? What are we at? 730,000 subscribers, some insane number, right? When I started this YouTube channel, was it about, I'm going to build this YouTube channel. It's going to be the biggest finance channel, this biggest stock market channel in the world? No, that was not the goal. My thought process was, hey, I can create these little videos, and if 20 people see them, there's 20 people helped out. If 100 people see them, that's 100 people helped out, right? Very different mentality. And then you see what has been built over the years, obviously, right? The proof is in the pudding. And so just a very different mentality. And so that a lot of that goes back to why Hungry Bull failed and why 1000X is already a success. More of a success in its first few months than Hungry Bull ever was, right? In Hungry Bull, I had so many heavy hitters on that too. I had a lot of, and yet it still wasn't a success. So, anyways, that's just kind of that situation. It's something I'm incredibly passionate about, incredibly proud of, and I can't wait to see, obviously where we're going to take this over the coming, months and years, right? Stocks. So public account is sitting on about, or we can call it about $2.1 million now at this point in time, right? Let me first say this. 2022 saved my butt. And you might think, how is that even possible? I got wrecked in 2022. It was for sure my most embarrassing year I went through, right? Think about 2022. I had to shut down Hungry Bull, right? I had to shut down the MM channel, right? We had, several. It was a mess, man. I was losing my face on stocks. It was a mess. It was a mess. And at the end of the day, you're only going two ways when you are faced with a really tough situation in life. You're only going up or you're going down, but there's no staying even in regards to that situation. And I definitely took 2022 and I listened to my critics. I listened to the people that had told me I went away from my whole name of the game, right? And I listened to those folks and I took what they had to say, and I actually took the feedback. And I actually then totally revamped and got back to the old me in regards to looking at income statements and balance sheets and cash flows and really looking at valuations of companies. And the results are the freaking results. And I thank all those people, I thank them all, because a lot of people were extremely hard on me. Some of those people wanted to see me be done. Some of those people wanted me 6 feet deep. I'm not going to lie with you guys, right? They really wanted to, I'd been winning for a long time. I got a little braggadocious, at certain times. And, a lot of people wanted to see me done. But what ended up happening was I listened to the critics and the ones that wanted me done. And I took what was their good feedback, and then I kind of left what was kind of the hating stuff. Because there's a difference between like good, valuable feedback and the stuff that's kind of like, you can just tell it's kind of like hater, like this person like hates me. And so I took the stuff that they were actually saying that was valid, and I'm like, shit, they got a good point there. They got a good point there. Yeah, I have gotten away from all these things, right? I'm investing in way too many unprofitable companies. I'm not looking into these companies in depth enough. Focused on these projects that aren't even in my circle of competence. And I looked at all that and I took the feedback, and it changed. Those people made me so much money. They've made me millions of dollars, and they'll never know it. But I thank them for that. And a lot of those folks probably think I hate them and I hate their guts. It's just not true. It's not true. If you looked at my heart, you'd see I actually appreciate those folks because they actually did get me back on the right track, right? I might send them a package, some money in their mailbox one day. Maybe they get a little a good gift in there or something, right? And it was a lot of folks, and so that year saved me 100%. It was vicious to go through it. It was embarrassing. People made fun of me constantly. I mean, it was what it was, right? And I certainly wasn't the only one that got faced with a really tough year in 2022. I was one of many people, but definitely that was a tough year, man. But out of those really tough years, whew, you're only going up and going down, and it's clearly, where we took things from there. And so, and you got to take that to your own. I always notice I can get I don't know why this is, but I get people to feel very emotional about me. I don't know why. It's not it's just you're born with that or you're not born with it. People get very tied up into me. And if I go back to Walgreens, that happened. If I go back to Quick Trip, that happened. I'd have people that were, man, they treated me very differently than they treated everybody else. And I mean in a very negative manner. I was held to so much of a higher standard, right? But those people ultimately are the ones that made me the best at whatever I was trying to do at that particular time. And so I don't know, that's always been that way. I'm like, why do people really like to focus on me so much? I don't know. I can never explain it, but it's always been that way. I look back at my life, like one time my wife and I were talking, and we were talking about even like the QT days and like who I had to deal with back then. And it's always been that way. I don't know why people get so passionate and emotional about me, positive, negative, but it's always been that way. So I can't figure it out, really. I can't figure it out, but it's always been like that. So that year saved me, to be honest. Got back on the right track in the numbers, or what the numbers are. And you got to understand, there's been a lot of stocks that have done absolutely horrible the last couple years now at this point in time, right? Especially this past year. I mean, the amount of stocks trading at or near 52-week lows right now it's an insanely long list. So I could have easily took the account, because the account went all the way down to $1 million. I could easily be right now at $500,000, $300,000 on this portfolio instead of $2 million plus. But I got back to the basics, got back to those income statements, the balance sheets, looking at these companies, what's actually a fair valuation versus not, and the rest is history. And so, let that be a lesson for you guys in your life. You're going to go through tough moments in your life. It's just the way it is. Especially if you're trying to do anything big in this life, you're going to go through tough moments. You're going to go through moments you question yourself and you're like, damn, man, this is a tough moment in my life, right? You're going to go through some of those. Make it out to the other side. As they say, half the battle's showing up. Half the battle's showing up. And then from there, just get better. Get stronger, and that's what I stay focused on. So it's not the end of the day. And whenever I've gone through tough moments in my life, usually right after that, some of the best moments in my life, it works out very continuously, right? Finance YouTubers, right? Where's my relationship at with a lot of the folks in the space, a lot of the big name people? Okay, so where do I even want to start this? I mean, if we start back at the beginning, right? When I started on YouTube in 2016, there was nobody successful in the finance-related category, especially not the stock market-related category on YouTube. There wasn't something that really existed back then, right? And so I came into this space and a couple other folks, and we really built out the space back in 2016, 2017, 2018, right? Into, becoming like a legit, like big space on YouTube where almost like the gaming category is its own thing, like makeup is its own thing on YouTube, right? Music and all these different categories, right? And so finance became actually a big category over the years, right? And obviously I focused my channel more and more on stock market as the years ticked on, because that was clear that's where people really wanted me, and that's what I really like to speak about. Like personal finance subjects, they start to bore me after the day. Like how many times can I talk about how to get a good credit score, or how to negotiate a car deal? Like that stuff just starts to bore me after a while, right? I love to talk about stocks. It never gets boring to me to talk about stocks. I could talk about stocks every freaking day. I love that stuff, right? But then as the space got built over years, I started to build relationships with a lot of the big folks in finance YouTube, all the biggest ones pretty much, right? And, had these folks over, help teach them things about, hey, here's how you can do this, here's how you can do this, right? And those folks got bigger and more successful over time, and so many people had success, and it's great to see. But then also people started making decisions that I didn't necessarily agree with, and so that led me to feel certain kind of ways about like, hey man, like, I helped you in this way, but now you're making some decisions that are probably not in the best interest of the space, and you're doing this, doing that. And so ultimately it started to lead to frustration, even jealousy, because then I could see people that might be having more success than me, right? Might be higher subscribers, might even be making more money, because I know how much money everybody makes, right? And so then if I see somebody else making more money, and then they're also not making good decisions, and I felt like I helped that person, then it starts to make you feel away. And so ultimately, I just realized that was kind of toxic. And so the blow off top of that really was in 2021 and 2022, right? And back then, even prior to Rona, I got into it with a lot of different YouTubers over time, right? And, I think a lot of that was just like I needed to mature, right? And I think fatherhood's taught me to mature, and it also taught me a lot about let other people live their own lives, and if they want to make mistakes, like let them make their own mistakes, and then just focus on yourself. Because if you focus on all these other people, I already got enough going on in my own life. I can't be focused on this person's career and that person's career, and what did they promote, and who's doing this and who's doing that, and who's making the space look bad, and all those sorts of things, right? And then it can lead to jealousy, and then you start feeling like, oh, I should be doing what they're doing, right? And then you lead to you making bad decisions because you're like, oh man, that person's making so much money doing that, I got to do that. And at the end of the day, 2022 was just that year of like figuring out like, let's end all this. And so over 2023 and over this year, I definitely have separated from the space. Clearly, I really only keep in touch with maybe one or two people in the whole space now. And so now, with that being said, could I call up anybody right now and talk to them? Absolutely. And do I have bad ill will toward anybody in the space? No, I don't. But with that being said, do I have the relationships I used to have with all these different folks? No. Do I have any interest in having the relationships I used to have with all these folks? The answer is no. I have absolutely zero ambition to, have the relationships I used to have with all these different individuals. It's just, I got my own life to worry about. I got my own businesses to worry about. I got my own kids to worry about, right? I got my own marriage to worry about. I got my own, spirituality I got to worry about, right? I got a lot of other things going on that I don't have time to be stressing over all these different dynamics and whatnot. And so that's why I just kind of like, everybody can do their own thing. You do what you want to do. I got to focus on me and what I got going on. And ultimately, I feel healthier. I feel better about everything, right? And not trying to get tied into everybody else's crap they got going on and BS. And so that's just kind of where I'm at in regards to that. And so, but yeah, like I said, do I have any ill will toward anybody? No. I don't have any ill will toward anybody. They can do their own things, and that's fine. And like I said, they could always call me up. If they needed my help in any way, they could always feel free to reach out, call me up. And I'm sure I could do the same. It's just with all those different folks, it's just I don't really feel like I need to have a relationship there. Because there's obviously a lot of folks I used to have relationships with, right? It was really almost everybody that was a big person in the space. So, that's kind of that. I'm trying to think, is there anything else I left out of this life update? Still got a couple rental properties, nothing changed there. And then mental health, feeling really good. Do I still meditate? As some people might wonder, yep, still meditate. Basically every single day. Still meditate, very healthy. I could never say enough good things about meditation. 15, 20 minutes a night could change your life. Mindful meditation. So, anything else?
Just want to make sure I'm not leaving out anything, because it's like it might be 2, 3, 4 years before I do another life update. So I'm just trying to think, did I leave out anything in regards to this? And I don't think I did. I think I covered it all. Alrighty, guys. Appreciate you joining me. Much love as always. Have a great day. Peace.